Welcome to yoga. I'm Rebecca, and it is wonderful to see everyone today. Hope you are well and enjoying. We've had a little bit of winter weather here in Atlanta. It's still pretty chilly, although not too bad. 43 right now. Hang on, I need to click something over here. Okay, again, our technology update with my big screen so I can look over there and see you folks and in a slightly bigger fashion. But what's weird is I also see me. So I'm looking there and pointing. It's funny. Zoom, we love Zoom. So in a class that I'm taking, my teacher, Trey Kirkpatrick, quoted Swami Kripalu, from whose lineage we both teach. And he said that the highest form of spiritual practice is self-observation without judgment. So observing the self, studying the self, and being able to do that without that, constant rattle in our heads of self-doubt and judgment. So easy as pie, right? I think in some ways, this is the key, right? If we could do this, then we could go through life and serve and, be present for our families and our communities. If we could just start from a knowledge of ourselves without judgment. So we'll practice. We've been talking about the 8 limbs of yoga. The first 2, the yamas and niyamas. Yamas about relationship to community, and the niyamas about your relationship to yourself. According to author Deborah Adele, who's written quite a bit about the yamas and niyamas, the niyamas, or observances, are about having an adult relationship with our minds and thoughts, seeking internal harmony. So the niyamas, or our relationship with ourselves, include saucha, purity, santosha, contentment, tapas, self-discipline, svadhyaya, self-study, and ultimately ishvara, pranidhana, or surrender. So to break it down, purity equals, for me, lightening the load that we're carrying, letting things go. Contentment is gratitude and appreciation for what is. Self-discipline is the question, who are you choosing to become? Self-study is remembering who you are. And finally, surrender is trying to give up control to manipulate and fight with life, and caring deeply about the bigger picture, something greater than yourself, others. Lightness, gratitude, choosing, remembering, and caring deeply. So we'll come back to these themes as we go through our practice, but we'll begin seated in a meditation. So find your seat if you haven't already, allowing yourself to settle, sitting up nice and tall with an elegant spine. Some may choose to lie down for meditation, but it'll be brief. Lengthening, feeling supported, but also awake with an alive spine. Take a moment to notice what you see in your space. We all have different environments, and yet we share this communal space on Zoom. I see books and trees, shutters, art, my messy desk, which you don't get to see. What are the colors and patterns in your space? Now begin to take an unfocused gaze, softening or even closing your eyes. and allowing a more internal focus. Noticing how you are showing up today. Just a moment to check in with heart, with mind, with body. What do you hear inside your head? Internal or external sounds? What does it feel like to be you today? Begin to notice your breath and how the inhale helps us to lift, to be a little more buoyant. We work with and against gravity, but the inhale gives us that lightness, that ability to expand, to rise. The exhale allows us to connect and be grounded in our space. Let's stay with the breath for a few repetitions, inhaling to lengthen the spine, reaching the crown towards the sky. The exhale to settle and be connected to the ground. Stay with the breath. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Now begin to bring your breath right to heart center, taking just a moment of gratitude for yourself for showing up today, for each other for being part of our community, for the gift of the breath. Breathe in and out right through heart center, feeling that sense of expansion and that sense of release as you let it go. Let's take 5 more breaths right at the heart. And after your 5th exhale, releasing control of the breath, coming back into the space. Let's sit up tall to begin our practice. Give us a little more visual here. There we go. And I will let you know that I have a little thing going on in my upper back. So if you see me adapting, know that that gives you permission to do the same. Take care of yourself. I will do the same. Let's start with sun breaths. Inhaling and floating up, that sense of lightness. Let's bring palms together and exhale, drawing hands to heart center, remembering gratitude. Inhale up, lift, and exhale, bring it to the heart. One more. Right to heart center, and then release. Shake out the arms, torso, whatever needs shaken. And then we'll inhale together, lifting up and lower. One hand coming up and over to the side. You can stay right here, bend your elbow, or even bring your hand down to your hip. Staying for a few breaths, and with each inhale, feel that sense of opening and lift up the side body. As you exhale, soften and curl. We'll use an inhale to come up and over to the other side. I'm going to bend my elbow. Inhaling into the side body. Beautiful. Exhaling to soften and curl. And inhale up through center. Take your time. We'll move side to side. You can stay for one or many breaths and use the inhale to come up and over to the other side. What feels good in your body? The study of self includes knowing what your body is feeling. Sometimes we want to back away if the feelings are not pleasant, but we need to know and remember the places that do feel good. One or two more. See if a little bit of movement can open things up just a little. This or the next time that you come through center, pause. See if you can bring your fingertips to the floor, to your cushion or your knees, and inhale, sit up nice and tall, feeling the strength of your body. Remember, this is self-observation without judgment. So that goes back to what we talked about last week, beginner's mind, as if you're just being introduced. Sit up nice and tall. Let's inhale and reach, and we'll come into the twist. Right hand to left knee, left hand behind or opposite. Inhale to get tall and exhale, twist, looking towards your shoulder. Inhale, reach up, lightness. Exhale, twist. Inhale in place to get the length, and then exhale and use the muscles to twist. Take your time. We'll move side to side. This or the next time that you come through center, reach up nice and tall and exhale, draw hands to heart center. Release your hands behind you. If you're sitting on something, you might move it out of the way. Hands behind you for support. Walk your feet out nice and wide. And begin to windshield wipe your knees from side to side. Start with a gentle rock from side to side, noticing. And then if you like, you can take it a little further, letting your knees drop. Inhaling through the center, exhaling to the side. Stay with this, or you can add that twist by releasing your arm and coming around to the back. Take your time and feel the flow of this. Does it feel good in your body? If it doesn't, what can you change to make it feel good in your body? Stay with the twist or add the lift. Take a few more breaths to finish this sequence for yourself, and then we'll meet together in the center. So coming to stillness, you can walk your feet in a little bit closer. Keep your hands behind you for support. I'm going to do just a little bit of abdominal work in boat pose. So from here, lift your right leg just to that, parallel to the ceiling stance, and then let it come down. Notice where you have to engage in order to find this. Lift the other leg and bring it down. Now, we're going to lift both legs. You can try it. If that doesn't work, put them down and do one at a time. And release down. We'll go back to one at a time. Stay with that, or once again, both. and bring them down. Stretch your legs out and let them rock in and out. We're going to come all the way down to the ground. So allow yourself to settle down. Let's see, I don't think we need anything in place for this. So find your way down. And we'll start with knees bent, feet and knees about hip distance apart. Feet are close to the body. And we'll work with our pelvic tilt. So inhale in place and then exhale and press the small of your back into the mat. Notice how this helps you to elongate your spine just a little bit. Inhale and start moving the pelvis in the opposite direction. So it's kind of like a seesaw, right? And we remember seesaws. I don't think they have them anymore. Inhale, create an even exaggerated lumbar curve. Exhale and flatten it out. So stay here with the pelvic tilt for a few more breaths. Observing without judgment. And the next time that you come through neutral in between those two movements, pause there. With your hands down at your sides, palms down, inhale as you press into your feet, let your hips float up. Can come a little or a lot. Make sure there's nothing underneath your head for this. You don't want to do any hyper flexion in the neck. And then exhale and slowly lower down. You can stay with your palms down or make robot arms so that you can press into your elbows as you lift. Gives you a little bit more engagement in the upper body. See how that feels? And then exhale, slowly lower down. Take your time working with your bridge with either the long arm or the shorter arm position. You can hold in place or lift and lower. See what feels better in your body, what feels more strengthening. What do you notice? 2 more breaths wherever you are, and then slowly make your way back down to the mat. And when you're ready, hug your knees in. Maybe you'd like to rock from side to side. Come back to center and keep a hold of one leg. Let the other foot float down. You can stay right here, working to draw that knee in towards your shoulder, or you can try sliding the other leg out long. But you want to slide it only as far as you can without letting go of the pelvic tilt that you're creating by drawing your knee in. So stay here, or if your leg is extended, you could try floating it up. Notice what happens. Stay here or add the nose to knee, nose toward knee for me. Squeezing in tight. One more breath. And release and let everything go. Very mini Shavasana. Just a couple of breaths. Do you notice any difference from side to side? Slowly slide your feet in and draw your knees in. Maybe rocking once again. And this time hold on to the other knee, one you didn't do before. Feeling that engagement, that tilting of your pelvis that occurs when you draw the knee in, and then let the other leg float down. Stay right here, working to draw that knee in, stretching, or try slowly extending the other leg. And again, only go as far as you can without letting go of what you've got going on with the other leg. Keep that tuck, that pulling in, and then extend your leg. If it's fully extended, you can press out through your heel. Stay right here or let that leg float up an inch or a few more. Keep the engagement, and maybe you add your nose looking at or drawing towards your knee. Maybe some of you can touch your nose to your knee. Squeezing in tight, one more breath. Squeeze in and then let it go. A couple of breaths here to release. And now we're going to make our way onto our bellies. And I would like to invite you to grab either a pillow or a folded blanket or towel. I'm going to grab a blanket for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to bring it right down on the mat and position myself so that my belly and hips maybe are on this blanket. That gives me nice room for my upper body. Nothing is being compressed against the ground. Now see if this is comfortable for you. If you have belly issues or hip issues, then maybe this won't work. So take a moment to readjust, finding your Sphinx pose. So I have my elbows bent and they're kind of underneath my shoulders. This is comfortable for me, but if it's too much for your back, then walk your arms further forward. The key is not to crank your neck, right? So keep your neck and head as an extension of the spine, and don't do that break. Maybe looking in between your thumbs is a good rule. Reach through the crown of your head. Stay right here, or try gently kicking one leg at a time. Putting a little bit more stretch on the front of the body. You can stay right here in Sphinx if this is comfortable. You can also just come down into crocodile pose and rest, or try sliding your hands back so that they're closer to your chest. And then very gently pressing into your hands. Think about lifting through the crown of the head, sending your heart forward. And only go as high as you can within comfort. This is a strengthening pose, cobra pose. We don't want it to be a big bend in the back. We want it to be a gradual, slow curling of the spine, okay? So hold for one more breath if you can, and then slowly release down either to Sphinx or to crocodile pose, hands stacked, resting your forehead. Couple of breaths. And coming back to either Sphinx or Cobra arm position, going to think about reaching through one leg by trying to touch the wall on the other side of the room. So lengthen one leg, press it back, and then release and let it come down. Rest if you need to. And this time I'm going to remember to remind you to engage through your low belly by pressing your hip points, your pubic bone down towards the ground, and then, pardon me, lengthen through the other leg and see if it can float up. And release down. Now, stay with this one at a time, lifting of the leg if you'd like, Or we're going to move into Locust pose, Shalabhasana. And for Shalabhasana, we'll bring our chin, mouth, or forehead to the mat. I like to bring my forehead. And I'm going to extend my arms down at my sides, palms down. Now, if this is uncomfortable, come out and go back into Sphinx or Cobra and continue lifting one leg at a time. Inhale here, exhale, press down through your low belly, press your pubic bone, your hip points into the blanket or the mat beneath you. And then begin to reach through one or both legs. Maybe your head will float up, and maybe you can reach back with your arms. Keep extending, keep the heart moving forward, the head reaching from the crown, right? Not from the forehead. And one more breath, engage, engage, engage. And exhale, release, and let it go. Bring your palms underneath your forehead and take a few breaths. And when you're ready, press it into your hands and come up through tabletop. Walk your knees out wide, toes together, and release hips to heels. Come down into child's pose. I'm going to take my blanket, turn it the other way so I can rest my elbows. Maybe I'll cross my hands and rest my head on my wrist. Breathing in to the back body. Noticing how you feel after this engagement. Let the breath go. 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. Press in to your hands and come on up. We're going to come all the way up to standing. Take your time and make your way. Use your supports and find your way up to standing. Now I'm going to work in our next sequence using a block between my legs. So go ahead and find a block if you have one. Actually, I think I'm going to use a different one. Those are kind of funky. Okay, I'm going to use my bright blue block. If you don't have a block, you can do this with a rolled up towel or a blanket or a small pillow would also work. So we're going to start with the block between your shins. So for me, the right width is to have it on the medium width, right? So this being the narrowest, the widest, and the medium. I'm going to place it below my knees, above my ankles, and just kind of hug in towards the block. See what that feels like. A gentle hug so that the block won't fall. Be careful if you have a heavy block, like a wood or a cork block. You don't want to let it fall onto your toes. Those blocks are wonderful for stability, but a little more dangerous. Okay, so block between your shins. Gently squeeze in toward the block and notice what happens in your legs and your lower body. Lift your pelvic floor. Lift your low belly. Lift through the heart and the crown. Reach down through your arms, fingers, reaching, active. Gentle squeeze in for engagement helps you to draw in and find that strength up the central core of the body. Let's inhale, palms meet, exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll do it 2 more times. And last one. Beautiful. And release. And remove the block. Put it to the side. Take a moment now to find your mountain pose and see if you can feel that same sense of engagement. Choosing your stance, squeezing in towards center, lifting the pelvic floor, lifting the low belly, lifting through the heart and the crown, reaching down through the fingertips. Let's inhale up. Exhale to the heart. Inhale and reach. Exhale to the heart. And last one. And exhale and release and let it go. Did you notice a difference between block and no block? And did the block help you to find that engagement the second time when you removed it? These are just things to think about. Now, take your block and put it at the middle width and place it between your feet. We're going to move into a balance sequence. You may not need additional support, but if you do, make sure it's available in the form of a wall or a sturdy piece of furniture. So squeeze in, hug in to your block, and notice, is it different having it between your feet versus between your shins? Can you still get that sense of hugging in and lifting, creating strength in the core of the body? We're going to work here with our tree pose. So find your stance, find your strength, and then slowly float up your right heel. Just lift the heel so you're on the ball of your foot. And then turn out from your hip and rest your heel on the edge of the block. You might stay right here, and this can be your tree pose. Or try bringing the ball of your foot onto the block. Your heel comes towards your other shin. Maybe you stay right here, or maybe you prefer to bring your foot to your leg above or below your knee. But use the block if it's helpful. Inhale and lift up, drawing the energy from your engagement on the ground and using your breath, your lift, to find that buoyancy, that lightning. Make your canopy. Make sure that the breath is flowing. Imagine that it's drawing up from the earth and coming up through your central core, your trunk, all the way up into your canopy. See if you can find a moment of stillness here. And when you're ready, release and come back to center. Walk it out. I fail to suggest that you find a focal point. I think many of you have been doing this for a while, so you probably knew to do that, but let's do it this time. So as you find your engagement in your mountain pose, take a moment to spy something. It's on either your horizon line. Some people like to look down. For tree pose, I tend to look a little higher because as we do that lift, I like to lift up. So finding your focal point, hands at heart center, squeezing in, lifting up, finding strength, and then float your heel up. Turn out and rest your heel on the edge of the block. Maybe you stay right here, or bring the ball of the foot to the block, or your foot to leg above or below your knee. What works on this side? Can you still feel that sensation of squeezing in towards center, even with one leg in a different position, creating the strength of your trunk? Begin to inhale from the ground all the way up through the center of your body, up into the canopy of your tree. Can you keep that engagement with breath flowing? Find lightness and groundedness in the same pose. Find a moment of stillness if you can. And then exhale through center and come back to stillness. Walk that out if you'd like. And we're going to move on to chair pose with the block. Hang on, let me just move my screen around just a little bit. Good. Okay. All right, good. You can't see my head, kind of. All right, I'm going to turn sideways for this so that you can see the relationship of lower to upper body and the positioning of my spine. So I'm going to take my block and bring it between my thighs. Now you need to find the right width, excuse me, for your thighs. For some people, the middle width is the right one. For me, I use the narrowest. And that allows me to have my hips and legs aligned, right? So my feet are right underneath my hips. And again, that same action of squeezing in and lifting up, lifting through that pelvic floor, low belly, heart, and crown. Reach down through your fingertips, finding mountain pose right here. Squeezing in. Excellent. Now we're going to move into our chair pose, and we'll begin to crease right at the hips, sending the hips behind as we squeeze into the block. You have to reposition it, I did. And begin to sit back as if there's a chair that's just a little too far behind you. Bring your hands to your knees or thighs for support. Keep squeezing in. Lengthen your spine so that tailbone and crown are reaching away from each other. Engage low belly, that pelvic floor too. Reach through the crown and squeeze in to rise up. Beautiful. Okay, let that go. That's one. Here's two. You can stay with one. Inhale, rise up in place. Exhale, begin to sit back. And then bring your hands right to heart center. So it's a little harder. You don't have your hands on your thighs for support. Make sure you've got all of that engagement so you have a nice long spine. Beautiful. One more breath. Squeeze in to rise up. And then soften and let it go a little bit. I'm doing, I don't know, little movements with my legs to sort of let it go in my hips. Okay, that's two. Here's three. I'm not going to keep my hands on my thighs. As I sit back, I'm going to reach so that I'm lengthening my spine. My fingertips reach away from my tailbone. Still engaging, still reaching the heart forward, reaching the crown of the head like it's in between your thumbs. Make sure you're breathing. Squeeze, 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 and then one more squeeze to come all the way up. And exhale, release, and let go. Remove your block and shake it out. Building a little bit of heat, a little bit of core strength. And the core starts at the pelvic floor and goes really all the way up and all the way down. All right, come back to your mountain pose. Sans block, without your block. Bring your hands to heart center and take a moment to find a softer mountain pose. You still have engagement, but it's a little bit gentler. The breath is flowing. Eyes on your drishti, your focal point. Let's inhale and float arms up. And exhale, draw hands to heart center. 2 more times, just like that. Notice what happens in the heart, in the rib cage, as the arms float up. And pause here. We're going to add the legs. Inhale, lift one leg as the arms float up. Exhale down. Inhale to the other side. And exhale down. And now let's fly. And the next time that you inhale, hold, 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 and come back through center. And other side will hold and hold and hold. Release back through center and shake out and let it go. And one more balancing sequence. I think in the process of self-study, of self-observation, balance is a big tell. If we can't find our physical balance, then we're not going to find our mental, emotional balance either. Maybe. I don't know which one comes first. So standing in your mountain pose as if the block is there, nice engagement. In fact, you could use the block if you want to. I'm just going to put that out there. Inhale and lift your heels just a little bit, coming on to the balls of your feet. Exhale and set them back down. So from the side, this is what I'm looking like. It's pretty subtle, okay? So next time we'll add the arms. This is palm tree. Inhale, come on to the balls of your feet. Lift your arms. I know you can't think you can see the tops of my hands, but I have my fingers spread nice and wide. And exhale, slowly come down. Step back a little bit. Inhale, lift heels, lift arms. And exhale down, strengthening our ankles and all of the core as well. Inhale, lift. Exhale down, 2 more. Inhale, lift. Whoop. Exhale down. The next one we're going to hold. Inhale, lift, 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 highest, 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 and whoop. Come on down. Shake it out. And let's take a nice wide stance or semi-wide. Make sure you have space. And just a gentle twist to let go of all of that heat, all of that flight, grounding back to the earth. Let it slow. And then step feet back underneath you. We're going to make our way all the way down to the ground. So come on down, take your time, find your pathway down. We'll pause for just a moment sitting, bringing soles of feet together, knees apart. We'll just do a gentle rock right here. And then make your way into your posture for some meditation and then Shavasana. If you prefer to be sitting, that is, of course, perfectly acceptable. If you would like to lie down, that is most appropriate. Take a moment to find your position of ease. Maybe pillows under the knees or knees up on a chair or the couch. Maybe you'd like to lie on your side with a pillow between your knees. Some people love that. Finding your position of ease. And when you arrive, take a moment to settle. Letting go of the practice, all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the sensations, and just coming back to what's present. Allow the breath to flow smoothly, no restrictions. With each exhale, letting go a little bit more through your feet, legs, and hips. Low belly, low back, pelvic floor. Make sure you let it go. Release through the middle body and the heart. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Arms are heavy, palms open. They can be up or down, whatever feels best. You can even just rest on your body. Letting go through your neck, your jaw, all the muscles of the face. Releasing the crease between your eyebrows, smoothing out your forehead, and softening your scalp. Letting the breath flow. As we work with the Niyamas, tapas, self-discipline, choosing where you put your energy, what you choose to focus on. Take a moment to be aware of where your energy is right now. And if there's a judgment about that in your mind, can you let that go and keep the awareness? Svadhyaya, self-study. Know thyself. Remember who you are at your core. Come back to the simplicity of the breath. Self-awareness without judgment. Ishwara Pranadhana. Surrender. Caring. We're all part of something greater. Our collective energy, the energy of the universe, whatever that means to you. We are small, we are connected, we are each precious. Now let it all go and rest. The witness is our ability to watch ourselves act and respond. It is our ability to watch our thoughts and our emotional disturbances. This ability is what gives us clues into our matrix of belief systems. It is how we know ourselves and the stories that run us. The witness is our ability to watch the ego rather than identify with it. The profoundness of this watching is that we begin to know ourselves as something different than who we thought we were. It is this ability to watch that begins to bring healing to our lives. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing small movements into fingers and toes. When you feel ready, if you're lying down, roll to one side and pause before bringing your fingertips to the ground to help yourself up to sitting. Allowing your attention to stay deeply inward for another moment or two. We'll seal our practice with one chant of Om for the community that we create when we practice together. If you'd like to join, bringing hands to heart center, we'll inhale together. Om Shanti, peace, peace, peace. Jai Bhagwan. May the light in you be victorious. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and with each other.